Welcome to the Ask Lifehacker podcast. This is our episode for July 2nd. I am here with Whitson Gordon.
Hello.
And Thorn Klasowski. Did I get that right, Thorn? I'm always afraid of mispronouncing your name.
Close enough.
And I am Adam Dachis. We are going to be talking about Google, and that's it.
If you don't want to hear Google news, you should fast forward right now because there's a lot of it.
Google decided to... let's go with explosion as the metaphor of
a Google stravaganza of announcements, if you will.
Yeah, they just won't stop talking, like some people.
Yes. So without any further ado,
let's get to the news. All right, Whitson, why don't you start us off here?
All right. So the biggest announcement was Android 4.1 Jellybean, and they actually did a pretty good job of racing through this, and we've talked about it a lot on the site. You should definitely check out our post on all of the great new features in Jellybean and how to get some of those features now, since a lot of us aren't going to be getting Jellybean, let's be honest, for like another year.
Yeah.
What were some of your guys' favorite features that they announced?
Thorn, how about why don't you start off?
Yeah, you start.
I liked was it Google Now? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Which one is that? I don't remember.
Sort of like prediction that it looks at all of your calendars and everything, and then changes your everything around for you, like live.
It's the one that so this is one of my favorites. It looks at it, it can see your calendar events, and based on if those events have a location, it'll calculate travel time, driving time or time to walk to the bus stop and then take the bus to that location based on wherever you currently are, and give you a push notification when you need to leave the house.
Oh. Well, that's good.
And it has other things like, if you're walking around and you want a restaurant, you can just pull up a thing that will tell you what restaurants are around and what their famous menu items are. Huh. And so it's just a lot of real-time information about whatever's happening right now and your preferences, what it knows, what sports teams you like and stuff like that, right, Thorin?
Yeah, it's super kind of creepy and weird, but also awesome sounding.
That's what I feel like. That's like Google's MO these days. Is like, we're gonna do something that you think is really cool, but also is really unnerving at the same time.
You're not gonna be able to tell whether you like it or hate it.
Yeah. Well, I clearly don't remember everything that happened yesterday, but one of my favorite things was the whole contextual search and the built-in voice recognition. I feel like that was a nice bump up on Siri. The way that works, I guess, if you don't know, is that you can search for something. You can ask what films are Angelina Jolie in. So you can ask that, and then it'll tell you what she's up to, which is the first thing you will ever Google, probably. But you can also, you can ask stuff, and it will actually use Google's knowledge graph, which gives you contextual search results along with your regular search results, so you can find out information faster. And they've built in the voice recognition that used to have to make a server call out to Google's, big server farm. They built that into the phones now, so you can get responses a lot faster, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So voice actions are offline, which is cool. So you can send text messages and stuff. Or I guess you can't send text messages if you don't have a connection.
Yeah, it's not searching the entire internet on your phone.
But you can use some of the voice actions if you don't have internet. And when you do have internet, you can make Siri searches. My favorite part was that the voice, the voice assistant's voice, is very non-robotic like. She's very nice sounding.
Yeah.
She sounds even a little nicer than Siri and a lot better than the old one Google had, which kind of freaked me out.
At first I thought it was just a real person reading it, and then you could hear some of the things, but it sounded very good.
They did a good job of implementing it if you like the voice actions.
Yeah.
My favorite part was by far, and this seems like a boring one, but their speed improvements to Jellybean. So they talked about a lot of the under the hood improvements they've done to make it faster and smoother. And this is just, for me, this is the top number one thing on my list that I have wanted from Android for so long. And it's one of the things that it seems small and it seems like one of those nitpicky things that only
I don't think it does.
iOS users are like, oh, it's not fast and smooth. But honestly, it gets frustrating after you use Android for a while when it's jerky and that's not going to the home screen I want or whatever. And people that have used Jellybean, that have tried it out, are saying it's freakishly fast, almost iOS fast, if not iOS fast. And so that sounds like an iOS fanboyish thing for me to say, but that's really exciting to me because that was one of just my biggest little gripes with Android.
It seems like it's one of those things that people are going to appreciate the most. It's like they're gonna no one's gonna, besides you maybe, be that excited about it, but it's probably what people will appreciate the most without necessarily realizing
and something you'll notice as soon as you start it up. And I think it's something that will get a lot more kind of regular people liking Android more. Because now that the iPhone's not on Verizon, a lot of those people moved over just because their Android phone was kind of frustrating them in ways like that. And I think this is one of those things that we sometimes pass over, but it's really important to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think for especially new people, like you pick up an Android phone for the first time and it actually is smooth and quick and responsive, like that's gonna be a huge deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that was my favorite.
All right, well, so we actually got through Jellybean pretty quickly.
You know what? Well, just like Google did yesterday.
Yeah.
They just raced through those features. If you go back and watch the keynote, that's like a 3-hour keynote, and 2 hours of it is people jumping out of planes.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
But man, they raced through that Jellybean announcement. I kind of appreciated it.
Yeah.
It was very like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Okay, now I know what's in Jellybean.
So we're going to do the same thing with the rest of Google's news because
Yes.
there's a lot of it.
We're going to quickly rattle off everything that Google announced last week because there was a ton of it.
We're not going to talk.
Well,
We're not talking about glasses,
We're not talking about Google
which I was
Glass.
surprised was real, but it is.
It's real. Check it out.
It's very real. All right, Whitson, why don't you start us off?
All right, Nexus Q was one of the... So it's pretty cool if you're into media and you are a little bit more Google centric than anything else. So that was cool.
Cool. Another thing, one of the many things that happened yesterday was that Google Chrome for Android came out of beta. Nothing really changed in the browser, but now it's a stable release and has a stable channel. So if you have been avoiding it because it's in beta, you don't have to anymore.
Yeah, it's not quite as advanced as the built-in browser, but it's pretty nice if you want to sync with Chrome.
Yeah.
And speaking of Chrome, Thorin.
Well, it's also out on iOS as well, although
Yay.
as of this recording, it's
surprising.
not actually in our hands yet, but that's kind of all we know about it, really, other than it's Chrome for iPad and iPhone. And it looks a lot like the Android version, but without actually having it, speed and everything, it's going to be hard to say.
Yeah.
But you know what? It syncs with Chrome, which is great for a lot of people.
Yeah,
That's like the big thing.
I'm not a big third-party browser guy on Apple devices, at least because it's just because you can't, unless you're jailbroken, you can't put them as the main browser. But although I am jailbroken, so I don't know why I complain about that. But it would be really nice to, like, Chrome would get me using it regardless, just because of sync.
Yeah, that's just so nice. Anyway, next. They also released offline editing for Google Docs, which is very cool. So we've had offline access to Google Docs for a while, but if you want to actually be able to edit your documents while not connected to the internet, you can now do that, which is awesome. Because frankly, Google Docs is just a good word. At this point, like, I haven't used Microsoft Word in years. I just use Docs if I need to do word processing.
Here.
Like,
if someone sends me a doc,
I open it up in Google Docs.
But there were also, Thorin, you said there was a release of Google Drive for iOS 2, right?
Yeah, just today.
It's
I'm not sure if there's offline editing on it, but there is everything else.
Yeah.
Just last week, I should say.
Yeah.
But having not really played around with it too much, it's basically a working editor, everything you need with Drive.
That's handy.
Seems to work really well.
Cool. I'm up. Google also announced Google Plus editions that you get Google Plus for tablets now. So it's not really a big change in terms of what you can do with Google Plus on the mobile apps. It's just optimized for the bigger displays, including the iPad's Retina display. There is also Google Plus also now has events, which I never realized it didn't, but I don't really use it. So, but they have you can add events in Google Plus, and they have added nice photo-rich stuff, which you may or may not care about.
It's very flashy.
Is
essentially
but without using Flash, because they're cinemagraphs.
Yeah, sorry, not Flash.
Yeah, the plugin.
The plugin. It's just fancy.
Yeah, they're very nice, and it integrates with Google Calendar, and you can I don't know how Facebook handles events exactly, but
not fantastically.
But you can't invite people outside of Facebook, right? They have to join Facebook.
No, they have to join Facebook, which is the nice thing with Google Plus, because not everyone's on Google Plus, frankly.
And Google understands that.
And Google understands that, and so they let you invite people just by email address, and they can RSVP to the eVite or whatever. So it's like a normal eVite service, kind of, but hooked into Google Plus.
Yeah, which is nice. It's just nice
cool.
that everything works the way it
was well
without
thought out.
it. Yeah, exactly. All right, we got one more, right?
Lastly, Google Play.
So Google Play gets smart updates, magazine subscriptions, which whatever, and movie purchases. But the smart updates are kind of the more interesting part. to me anyway, or the most interesting thing to me.
Can you explain
I think
what
iOS is also implementing that same.
Can you explain what the
Same
smart
thing,
updates
right?
are? What that means?
So like once you download an app, it'll update it automatically for you, and to do it, it'll do it just in small parts instead of the entire app, which is how it can go.
Oh, so it just updates like the
Oh.
parts of the app that need updating, and not like you're not re-downloading the whole app every time.
Yeah,
That's really nice.
it seems handy.
Especially
It seems
now
like
that
I'd
we
be
all
able to
have
work
limited
over-
mobile data networks.
Yeah.
And such. The other cool thing about the Play Store that just came out that a lot of people didn't really talk about is that you can now update and uninstall apps from the web store on your Android phone,
Oh.
which is kind of cool.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
like, it's
I
like
forgot about
no
that.
one has really been talking about it, but I think that was one of the cooler features of Google Play that was announced
that'd be really-
that came out this week.
I don't care so much for my Android tablet because I never update that anyway. But
for Google TV,
with the Google TV, it's so annoying to update on the TV because you have to click each one individually.
Absolutely.
You can't just do update all.
yeah,
For some reason.
But so it's nice. So you can just go
Yeah.
to the Google Play Store on the web and click on My Android apps, and you can uninstall and update apps right from there. Very cool.
Alright,
So
well, we've got one more piece of news.
that's not Google.
Yeah.
So a lot of you have probably heard
Well,
about this at this point.
We had it.
Well, so I'll go to that in a second. Facebook decided to do something stupid again this week because it's apparently been too long since they've done something stupid. And they decided to change the email address that's listed on everyone's profile to their @facebook.com email address. And many of you may not remember this whole @facebook.com email address fiasco, but they created this email system a while ago that no one used. And apparently to make us remember it, they decided that all of us, that was going to be the email address that all of us use. There's an easy way to change it back to your regular email address if you want, your Gmail address listed on your profile. It doesn't change the email address that Facebook uses to email you about password changes, things like that. It's just an annoying little profile change that they did without telling you. Some people think that we are Facebook and that we made this change.
I want to know why you changed my email address. What purpose does it serve? You guys are screwballs.
So, to anyone that sees our article on how to change it and thinks that we are screwballs for screwing you over and changing your email address on Facebook, we didn't do that. That was Facebook.
Facebook did it. Sorry.
We're Lifehacker, just in case anyone was curious about that. But so if you haven't changed this yet, go check out we have a little video that shows you how to do it. It's very simple, but send it out to all your friends because a lot of people don't realize this has happened. And frankly, I like being able to have my email address on Facebook and having other people's email address on Facebook in case they're not someone that I have in my contacts list, but I
Yeah.
need to email it for some reason. It's handy to have that there. It's one of the few things that actually makes Facebook useful.
Yeah.
And not a time waster. And Facebook ruined it. Thanks, Facebook.
All right, let's get some I don't know what I'm saying, but let's questions. All right, we got a couple of questions today. Whitson, you're going to start us off, right?
Yes, our first question comes from a emailer. Sorry, I didn't know what the opposite of Caldor was. It just says, the iPad 3 is here, the Surface is coming soon, we've talked about it, and now Google has announced the Nexus 7, which is a small $200 Kindle Fire-like tablet that's straight from Google. With all these new tablets, which one should I buy? Should I wait for these to come out, or what? And my only answer, the only real answer I can give right now is that a lot of the things that we know about the Surface and the Nexus 7 are speculation because they're not really out yet. And people have kind of used them, but they haven't really been put through their paces. So if you're in the market for the tablet, I might wait till later in the year. And then maybe you can kind of look at it again and do a full comparison. But just for giggles, based on just what we know and speculation, if you guys were in the market for a tablet right now, which one would you buy?
All of them.
Okay.
Okay, no, but here I think so I have one thing to say about this, and that's it.
Okay.
And probably several other things later. They all cost. I think the cost structure, which we don't know a whole lot about, is quite a bit different. The Nexus 7 is $200 or $250 if you want more space on it. The iPad's $500, and Windows Surface is probably somewhere lower than $500 and more than $500 depending on which model you get. So I think price probably plays a lot into what you're going to decide to get.
That is a big part of it. Say you had unlimited money. I don't know. I think price should be a factor, but there are other factors. Like if you had to, which one do you like the look of better?
Oh, don't.
Okay, Thorin, you want to give us a real answer?
I think I would still stick with the iPad as long, just because of the app support right now, and see where the other two end up going in the long run. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just having a lot of everything at my fingertips
And
to do whatever I want.
And I feel like tablet optimized apps are still a problem for Android a little bit.
Oh, it's a big problem. Gizmodo actually did a thing on this yesterday, comparing the three OSs and saying that Android, like Google will not say how many tablet optimized apps they have.
Because the answer is like 5.
Yeah, but they say if you go through and look in the Play Store, you can tell pretty quickly how bad it is.
Yeah.
And I can agree with that because I have an Android tablet and it's not a good.
It's not good for some things, but it's really great for if you depending on the things you use it for. I'm sure it's really great for like if you're just watching movies and reading. For $200, the Nexus 7 is a killer tablet for that. And you have done a feature on setting up as like this mega video game.
Yeah, if you're
media
playing,
machine.
I have Plex running on it to stream videos remotely, and I can just plug it into a TV with HDMI. I also can play retro video games. Like, support for a lot of those media apps is really good. They've updated that, but
so it looks like Android could be really good for specific things if you're using a tablet for specific things, especially if you want something more inexpensive. And the iPad, just because it's a little bit more mature, is still kind of more of a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
like if you just want a tablet, you can kind of do everything with. But Android may mature to that point; it's just not there yet.
Yeah, it seems like the more Android's a lot cheaper, and it's definitely more of a consumer-based device. But like Thorin, you've written about too how the iPad can be used for work and creative purposes.
Yeah. And I mean that's what it is. It's that jack of all trades. I can draw something and then go play a game and then read a book. I don't watch movies, but I could do that if I wanted to. It's that ability to have everything for anything.
Yeah.
Like there's an app for it, probably, as cliche as that is.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm kind of digging the Microsoft Surface.
I'm very curious.
Just because
about it.
I really think Windows 8 looks cool on tablets.
It'll be but that's like, well, we'll see how it goes. I like it, but I don't want to say any. I don't want to have an opinion about it until I've actually used it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I like Windows Phone so much, but I just like it's not there yet for me to use on a phone. But I feel like, I feel like the Metro interface, I could totally use that on a tablet. Since all I use a tablet for is like reading comic books or like reading readability. As long as those apps are available for it, like I'm good. But again, to answer your question, I would maybe hold off a little bit and then come back around and we'll circle back to this when we can actually try out the other tablets.
So you say wait, Thorin says iPad, I say count how much money is in your wallet.
And buy them all.
I also
Not just as a practical user. Yeah.
What? Sorry, Thorin, what did you say?
I say wait as well until we, Surface is actually in our hands.
Surface and then the Nexus 7, even though that's coming soon, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, people have actually used those because they.
That's true. More people have actually tried those out.
And then there's, I don't know. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. Let's move on.
Moving on.
Okay, so the next question, Thorin, you've got this one.
Right. So, this is a email, I guess, that was sent in. I'm in the market for a new laptop bag. I need something to carry my laptop and various other things like notebooks, pens, my phone, headphones, my e-reader, and maybe a physical book or two. It's got to be big and tough. Could you possibly recommend some brands or just some general ideas on what to look for in something like this? So I think basically what they're describing is a messenger bag. Kind of looking for something that's durable, that can be thrown around, waterproof, destroyable in most aspects. And one of the cheaper options is a company from San Francisco called Timbuk2. They make all shapes, sizes. You can get camera attachments, all that kind of, laptop sleeves, everything that you would need. It's like $130 or so probably. My personal favorite option is this tiny company in Canada called Pack Designs, which is only cool. Like the coolest thing that they have is that there's straps on the bottom. You can shrink the bag. So if you only have your laptop and headphones in there, you can kind of make it smaller. But then if you're carrying all of that stuff at once, you can expand it out.
That's cool.
That's nifty.
But the general idea of what you'd be looking for would be a messenger bag, something that literally can be run over by a car and still the bag will come out okay at least.
Yeah. There's this one bag I use for that camera. Sorry, microphone. That's called Tenba makes it. Tenba. The Tenba messenger bag, and it's water resistant, has a waterproof bottom. It's made for cameras and laptops to live harmoniously together in one single colored bag. They comes in a lot of colors I think are not particularly attractive, but it is a very, very good bag. It's very comfortable and it can hold a lot of stuff. So that's another option. I don't know how it compares to the bags you're mentioning, Thorin, but
I think you have basically plenty of options.
Yeah.
Expect to spend probably a little bit over $100 if you want something.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
It's definitely an area where you get what you pay for.
Yeah. But like I feel like at when you hit the $100 mark, there's not a huge difference. Like if you pay $300, you're probably not getting anything a whole lot better.
And for $100 for something you'll use,
Yeah.
if you're going to use it like every day, $100 is not a bad thing to pay.
Really
For
not.
something to protect all the stuff that you've spent thousands of dollars on, like cameras and laptops and phones.
Yeah, I've had my Tenba for
Totally worth it.
for 4 years now, and it's been fantastic. And I just don't. I've gotten other bags, and I just like this one.
I'm still using the same.
I've had mine for 10 years.
Wow.
I'm still using the same backpack I used in college. It's like such a piece of crap.
Well, if you want another backpack, I have about 10 leftovers.
Awesome. All right.
All right, so
Mooching off Dutches.
our last question is another email from I Hate Spam, who
We hate spam too.
Surprisingly, I can't believe someone who hates spam wrote this. I know how to avoid getting spam by not subscribing to unknown services or by not disclosing my email address in public, but I can't avoid getting spam from people that I exchange email before. Okay, and also spam that get my email address out of nowhere. How can I totally avoid all the spam mails? How can we totally avoid all the spam mails? You can't. You can't ever avoid all the spam mails, but if you want to reduce your spam more significantly, there are a couple of things that I do, and a couple of things I also don't do, but intend to at one point in my life. For the most part, I like what I did is I got a domain name, and I registered the domain name specifically for the purposes of email, and I set it up with Google Apps, and you can do that for free if you want ads in your email, or you can pay $50 a year to not have ads in your email. And then you can basically set up a catch-all. So anyone who sends email to anything at thatdomain.com will get. It'll all go to you. So this is a recipe to get a lot of spam in the beginning, but you can basically give a new email address out to anybody. If you you go to a spa, and you can be like,
weird first option.
I know. And they want your email address when you're signing up. You can do the name of the spa at myemailaddress.com or grandmasemailaddress.com, and inside joke. And then if they end up spamming you or someone ends up spamming you, you know exactly where it's coming from and you can block it. But if you do have Gmail, you don't need to do this. You can actually do if you have an email address that's myname@gmail.com, you can do my name plus the name of the spa at gmail.com and it'll still go to you.
Give them that email address.
Yeah.
And then but that'll come to your regular email address, and you'll be able to just block anything that's being sent to that if they're spamming you.
Yeah,
That's nice.
so those are two ways to do that. You can also start whitelisting people and just and this won't stop you from getting spam, but there are services that do this. You can just set up a filter in Gmail or in a lot of other emails. I mean, I think even Live/Hotmail does this. Mm-hmm. You can set up filters so all the email from anyone that you care about goes directly into your inbox, and then you can create a folder, a label as a secondary inbox, and have every other piece of email go in there. And then you can basically keep adding people to the filter as you realize you want them in the primary inbox. And then you can just go through your secondary inbox less often and only concentrate on the things that go through. And that's really the easiest way to get rid of spam. But I find with Gmail, it's usually pretty good.
First of all, Gmail's priority inbox is a great way to manage that second inbox thing.
It is for some people.
It is for me. But that's what I was gonna say. I agree. On my personal email address, even though it's like a little bit out there in the wild, I get no spam on it. Whatsoever, except like you say for some of like the newsletters I've signed up for, but I've like been being really good about unsubscribing to them recently, and I'm getting no spam. It's Gmail's spam filters are pretty fantastic if you're good about keeping your email address mostly private. Mm-hmm. I only get like, it all goes right into the spam filter. It's just really well done.
Yeah, it's really.
So if you're not using Gmail, that might be the first step.
Yeah,
is to get a Gmail address.
Yeah, it's really that's why I went to Gmail, is because it's so much better at spam than anything.
Thorne, anything to add?
No, I think you guys covered it.
All right. In this day and age, it's a matter of your spam filter should do a pretty good job. So use Gmail, and then if there's anything else, you just gotta kind of create clever filters.
Yeah,
and we've covered this a lot on the site, and we'll have some links in the show notes for you to try and get started.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. How about some show and tell?
Let's do some show and tell. For those of you that have been watching the show for a while, you probably saw a little while ago, a couple months ago probably, where I talked about USB DACs and amplifiers for your computer and how they can increase the sound quality when you're listening on nicer headphones. You do remember that. Yeah. So if not, go back and watch that or click the link in the show notes to the article where we talk about it. This is kind of the other alternative to the one I featured before. That one was USB only, and it was mainly for your getting good sound quality out of your headphones when you're listening to music on a computer. This is for when you are listening to music on a portable device like an iPhone or an Android phone or anything else. The idea is that unfortunately there are not a lot of these devices don't let you bypass the built-in sound card, so you can't use an external sound card with them usually. But what you can do is, if you're still not getting quite the quality or the volume you want out of your nice headphones, you can get a little adapter like this, plug it into your phone, and plug it into, this is just an amp. It's not a DAC, but it still will amplify the sound. This is the FiiO E6. It was about $40. And basically, I have some headphones. They're relatively low impedance, so you shouldn't really have a lot of problems with headphones that are lower impedance. But they were just a little, the sound coming out of them was a little bit too quiet for me when listening to on my iPad, especially if I'm on like a plane. And this just makes the volume a little bit louder. You control the volume from this. It has a few built-in equalizer settings if you want to boost the bass or the treble or whatever. And that's it. It's pretty cool. Cheap. So if you're not getting the sound quality, the volume you want out of your mobile device, this is a good option. And so go check out our article on these for more information.
Cool.
That's it.
Nice.
All right, we have some downloads. And for the first time in history, we are going to do a Linux download. In the 3-month
history of the show, we're going to do a Linux download.
Episode 16.
Because Linux needs some love too, guys.
Yeah.
I actually discovered this when listening to another one of my favorite podcasts, is the Linux Action Show. And it's called Ubuntu Builder. It's just a little program that you run on Linux, and it lets you create your own custom Ubuntu installation. So it's kind of like that program RT7 Lite that we featured a little while ago on the podcast that lets you create your own custom Windows installation. You just grab an Ubuntu ISO, you can tweak it, choose a desktop environment other than Unity, which a lot of people are kind of hating on recently. You can add any packages or programs that you like, but don't come pre-installed on Ubuntu, and then create your own Ubuntu install CD with those things on it. So, if you reinstall Ubuntu a lot, or if you run it in a live CD environment, you can have those programs already there, and you can have, your preferred desktop environment already there. It's just a nice little way to kind of create the Ubuntu of your dreams, so to speak. Very cool. Check it out.
Thorne, what do you got?
Well, for Mac, we have Bluestacks, which has been out for Windows for a while, and it basically emulates Android apps on OS X.
Cool.
Which is weird, but you get 17 apps out of the gate. It's still an alpha, so it's they're trying to get more support, get more apps in there, and you can check out Android apps. You can sync them across your Android phone and OS X if you wanted to. If you wanted to play games or whatever, you go back and forth. And I think more support's coming as time goes on, and hopefully it'll get more interesting once there's more than 17 apps available.
That's cool. I wonder if they'll ever be able to bring the Android emulators into BlueStacks. And the ones for the video games, because
so you can run an emulator inside an emulator?
Yeah.
Yo, dog, I hear you like emulators.
I know, but there's no good Game Boy Advance emulator for Mac, so... Something,
it's a possibility.
Something to think about. I'm sure it would be the worst experience ever, but at least it would function.
Speaking of Android, we have another download for Android called Super Missed Call, and it is a super app. Essentially, We all get calls sometimes that we can't necessarily answer right away, so we try to ignore the call or whatever. Super Missed Call is a really cool app for Android. If you get a call that you can't answer, all you do is turn your phone face down, and it will ignore the call, which is nice. And then when you turn your phone back face up, it will automatically dial that person back for you.
That's nice.
Very cool, right? So it's just a slightly easier way to ignore missed calls, and then and remember to call those people back, just by turning your phone face down. Very cool.
Yeah. Okay, so lastly, for iPhone or iOS in general, I guess, is Wonderful Day. It is an app that is based on the Seinfeld productivity secret, which is something I've been doing for a little over 6 months now and love it. The idea is don't break the chain, in that you do one task every day, or you do, I guess in my case, 4 tasks every day, and you check it off on a calendar. Now, if you could see the wall in my apartment, I have a very large wall that is filled up with calendars with.
We're gonna put an image for it on the screen for you right now.
Yeah, we'll do that
because it's crazy.
And it takes up a lot of space. And at first, I think it's good to have something to physically check off and also have in your face that you're looking at a lot, so you remember to do it. But once you form a habit, it's a lot easier to just check it off on your phone, and that's what Wonderful Day does. It lets you add the tasks just that you need to do every day, and just check off a little dot every time that you do them. It costs $1. There's another app out there that's very similar called Commit, but that is $3, so that's not as good of a deal. And I also think
that's $2 less.
Yeah, and
it's half a cup of coffee.
Yeah, but also I think Wonderful Day is a lot more simple, and it's funny because when it came out, I got a letter from a developer, and I also got letters from other people who have been using the Seinfeld productivity secret, the Don't Break the Chain,
which we'll link to in the show notes.
Yes.
It's very cool if you're not up on what that is. Not to be confused with Thorin's George Costanza life secret, which is very, very different.
Right. Yeah.
We'll link to that too.
But that is, but it's, a lot of people have been using it. Like, a lot of people emailed me to say, hey, I started using this app because I started doing the Don't Break the Chain, and it seems to be picking up pretty well. So definitely check it out if you've got $1 and want to make your life more productive.
Cool.
So I guess that's all we've got for today.
That is all we've got for today.
It seemed like there was a lot, but now we're parting ways sooner than I thought.
I'm okay with that. We got through the Google. God, Google announced so much this week. It was very tiring. Google, spread it out a little bit, please.
Yeah, and because we record these things a week in advance, we're not going to be around the following week because it's 4th of July next week. So everybody have a wonderful 4th of July.
Yes,
we will miss you.
See you when
dearly.
We come back.
Yeah.
From our epic 4th of July vacations.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
I'll probably sit around the house.
Flag cake.
Ooh.
Who knows?
Awesome. All right. In that case, we will see you a few weeks from now.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
If you'd like to ask us a question, send an email to tips+asklhshow@lifehacker.com. Alternatively, leave us a message at 347-687-8109. Try to keep your questions to a few sentences or 30 seconds so we can keep the show moving quickly. And thanks for listening, watching, or however else you get this podcast from the internet to your brain. This episode was recorded in Los Angeles, California by the Lifehacker staff and edited into a more consumable form by Kyle J. Norris. We'd also like to thank all the people who contributed images to our podcast to help make it look extra nice.
That was like we're running a sex radio show.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the Ask Lifehacker podcast.
Now I have to start it off.
Tonight we'll be talking about all of the things Adam thinks smells like.
Oh God! That's gonna end up in there now.
Adam thinks a lot of things smell like.
Two things.